Just to give you a brief update to this video, in the video we talked that the legislation for electrical certificates is starting June the 1st, which it did, but just to make it clear that's the legislation. The actual requirement to have an electrical certificate starts for new properties from July the 1st, 2020, and from April the 1st, 2021 for all properties. So although the legislation started June the 1st, it doesn't apply till July the 1st for any new rentals, and then April the 1st next year, 2021, for all existing ones. I hope that makes it a bit clearer. Thank you. Enjoy the video. Right, good afternoon. I'm here with Darren Staniforth from NICEIC. Who's going to take us through the new legislation, not so new now, that came out about electrical certificates. So Darren, welcome to you.
Hello there, thank you very much for the opportunity. Yes, there has been changes to legislation in the private rented sector, and I wanted just to share with you some of the updates that have been coming out. We realised that we thought it possibly be pushed back because of COVID-19, but actually it still came in, so it is still going to, as we believe, come out as legislation on the 1st of June.
Right, and what is it? So I'm a landlord. What do I have to do on the 1st of June?
Well, it's all around electrical safety, this new improvement that we've seen to legislation. So if you are a landlord and you've got housing in stock, there is a requirement for you to actually carry out electrical safety checks. In the past, there's been great guidance out there, but it hasn't been anything firmed up with legislation. That's the big change now. There is legislation to suggest that you should be carrying out electrical safety checks at least every 5 years.
Yeah, and I think there's always been confusion because I train landlords, and there's always confusion. I've always said, apart from HMOs where you've always had to have an electrical certificate, it's good practice to get one. Why it's never been legal before, I really don't know. But the confusion comes between electrical testing, what do they do, and PAT testing.
Right.
And unfortunately, PAT testing, to my knowledge, is still not a legal requirement.
That's right, you're absolutely right, yes. Our friends north of the border in Scotland actually took the legislation on about 4 years ago now. Yeah. And they have got PAT testing included in their legislation. Through looking at that and looking at how it does or doesn't work, we've actually noticed that actually it started to have a detrimental effect to what they were leaving in their properties. So landlords were starting to say, here's a house, it's got some appliances in it, such as the dishwasher, fridge freezer, for instance. And all of a sudden, because they had to get things checked, they started to say, well, I'm going to remove them. The onus is upon me. If we go back a few more years, people did this with rented properties when they stopped furnishing them due to the legislation changes around what they can or cannot leave in. We saw that effect. That's why we believe it never actually happened in England.
Oh, right.
The hard wiring, everything from the fuse board, all the hard wiring in the walls, in the trunking, to plugs, sockets, lights, that's the stuff we're talking about. There's great guidance out there what landlords should be doing around anything with a plug, but it's still guidance.
Okay, all right. And a little bit of confusion about what portable means. So I've always said to them, example is an oven. If your oven's freestanding and can be moved, that tends to be considered to be portable, comes under PAT testing. If it's hardwired in and fixed and can't be moved, that comes under fixed testing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So yes, there are clear definitions of what is classed as movable, portable, handheld, and the like. Now, the crux of the matter is, if they're getting checked, if they're hardwired and they're getting checked as part of the electrical safety check, brilliant. That's absolutely. That's what effectively what government want to see is that anything left in there that is going to be used by the tenant, that is owned by the landlord, is checked. If there are things in there that are potentially able to be plugged in, not hardwired, then these should be carried out separately. So there is a bit of a grey area. They do overlap slightly, as you suggested there. I think we're not worried whether it's a PAT tester that checks them or it's an electrician that checks them, just as long as they're checked.
Yeah, because I mean, again, when I train landlords, I tend to say to them, if it's electrical, if you supply it, check it.
Yes, without a doubt, yeah. There is the need to carry out some sort of check.
Yeah.
There is going to be some guidance coming out to landlords around what they should or shouldn't be doing in England. And again, that will reinforce that message of anything with a plug top on that they're going to be left by the landlord should be checked. But anything hardwired has got to fall under this new legislation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let us know when it comes out, and we'll make it available to our members. So, and I know with pat testing, again, there's a bit of confusion about that, because an awful lot of pat testing is just examining. So I'm aware that if you've got the wrong fuse in there, that fails. You can do that yourself. Check the cable if it's frayed. You can do that yourself. And I remember somebody saying once, if you've got a plug which has still got that bit of cardboard on it, that'll be a failure.
Well, again, you're absolutely right there. When it comes down to electrics, be it portable appliance or the actual inspections that are carrying out, it is the really big part of it is the inspection. We plug things in and test them with our boxes, or we put testers on and test the wires that are in the wall, and we get readings back. But that will only be secondary to what our eyes tell us about the installation.
Yep.
So it's truly about that inspection. So you're right, with appliances, we'll be checking things such as plug tops. We'll be checking the flexes that go to the appliance. We'll be checking the appliance to make sure there's no cracks to it.
Yep.
And then we have to apply that science to the installations as well. So we'll be looking for sockets, switches and lights to make sure there's no cracks or signs of burning. And then we look at the fuse board. So a lot of this, the time that will be spent in the landlord's home, is us carrying out an inspection with our eyes and our other senses to make sure that those items left or the installation is safe.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, basically, I think landlords should be careful to say that you come in tomorrow, you do a test. If come the next let, a socket's got kicked and it's got cracked, they can't just assume it's okay because you've done a test. They've got a duty of care to repair it.
Absolutely right. Yeah, there is that duty of care. Now that kicks in every sort of now and then. The maximum period is 5 years. Right. Now, if a tenancy or change of tenancy happens sort of in year 2 or 3, the duty is down to the landlord again to make sure the installation is safe to be let. Yep. So they could say, I've got 2 or 3 more years left on my existing report. But the quick walk around that you've just explained, finding a socket that's cracked, should raise alarm bells for landlords. And at that point, they should re-engage with the electrician to come in and do another EICR, Electrical Installation Condition Report is what it's called.
Right, okay. And again, a bit of a misnomer. Oh, they must last 5 years. I understand that if you were to go in and found it's all okay, but that little bit there needs checking in 3 years' time, that's how long the certificate's for.
Yes, 5 years is the maximum period.
Okay.
Now, that is for an installation that's absolutely fine, got no problems with it at all, you would give it the 5 years maximum period. However, if you found something that was quite aging, quite old, it's okay now, but me as the electrician, I don't know how much longer it's going to be okay for. I would bring that period in so that it maybe be 2 years. The installation is safe now, but I want to make sure it's safe still in 2 years. It hasn't deteriorated at all. So the maximum period is 5 years. However, that electrician on the day, because of what he sees, could bring that down to a shorter period.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's all good stuff. And then just explain, my understanding is June the 1st, any new let after this June, after June the 1st, has to have a valid EICR. Is that right?
Yes. That's right, yeah. So the legislation comes out in June, so they're pushing that date forward. So new lets, as you said there, should have one of these reports to be able to show the tenant as the tenancy is taken up. Yep. The big thing is there, they've got to look for the word satisfactory on it. So that will tell the landlord that the installation is satisfactory for continued use. There's 2 words. One there is going to be satisfactory. The other is going to be unsatisfactory.
Oh dear, right, yeah. Fairly self-explanatory. And then the other date that's come up is June the 1st next year. What's that date?
Well, it's April. So they keep it for April. So yeah, April next year is all existing need to be done by that date. So all new tenancies now, and then they're saying you've got sort of from now all the way up to April to mop up all your other ones. So if you've got any existing tenancies that are going on, you need to start to think about picking them up. And so if you want to find someone that can do this, again, I'm all logoed up like Lewis Hamilton at the moment, and with the sign above me, simply Google NIC, EIC or Alexa, and then that will give you a register of people that will be able to carry out those checks. What I would suggest to anyone looking to get an electrician in is roughly for a very typical 2-bedroom house, it can take up to sort of half a day to get that done.
Yep.
And that's sort of roughly what you're looking at. Anyone that says, yeah, we can get it done really, really quickly, ask yourself this: are you truly going to get an inspection done, or are they just going to do the paperwork and hand you it?
Yeah.
You need to know that someone's gone in there, they have taken a few sockets off, taken a few switches off, had a good look in there, and the paperwork. It does take about half a day.
Yeah.
If it's a void, then there may be the chance for them to do it quicker because they're not moving furniture and the like.
Yeah.
So it may be slightly quicker, but roughly you can pretty typically say 2 to 3 bedroom dwellings that are occupied, about half a day for those.
And without the problems that we're currently experiencing with COVID, if you didn't have those, I've been told, well, there's not really enough electricians around to do all the certificates, let alone any work. Are you finding that, or do you think you're coping?
Well, you're right there, because off the back of these inspections that are going to happen, we believe there's going to be a lot more repair and remedial work needed. So let's not worry about that, because that's a bigger problem on its own. Yep. But yes, that's why I'm suggesting, rather than leave it up until these deadlines that me and you have mentioned, engage with the contractor that you know now, or find a contractor that you can trust, so that you're not scrambling around to find an electrician. We do believe that there is going to be a rush, a surge out there to get these done. And as you said, problems with COVID, and the government released on the 11th of May some really good information about how contractors can work in people's homes.
Yep.
So they're all taking that on board now, and they will be pushing their services out to people such as your work with, your landlords, to see how they can get in and do those tests safely. Now, that means there is going to be a surge of work, and it does mean that prices may go up. So get in contact with your electrician.
Yeah. All right, all good stuff. I think we've covered an awful lot there. So thank you very much for your time, Darren. Very much appreciate it. So thank you from you.
No problem. So just a quick one. There is more guidance from our owners at NIC, EIC and Alexa, which is the charity, Electrical Safety First. They've got some amazing guidance there for landlords that will really give all the information to the landlords, so they've got all the knowledge and understanding before they go talking to the electricians.
Okay, thank you very much.